Yeah, see, he's talking shit about Broside Phil.
Which I'm not a huge fan of Broside Phil.
And I talked about it before, like that absolute degenerate Broside Phil.
Detractor-wise, Broside Phil won because he's the first detractor who actually had a direct conversation with me, right?
In the year of our Lord, 2026, within the month of January, I think it's a near foregone conclusion that Phil has a humiliation fetish, and I'm barely joking here. Between 2025 revealing that he would show his underwear and socks for cash, do catwalk dances or whatever the fuck that was for Triple P, and the crash outs, lack of self-awareness, and extreme coping in 2026, the only reasons left that Phil behaves the way that he does is overt narcissism and or a humiliation fetish. And after this cope session he did on January 25th, I'm thinking the humiliation fetish is starting to make more sense. Of course, we can't forget the insane talk or rant about his gym-styled room that he talked about later in the stream, but yeah, that's what we're covering today. Because I can't have a normal fucking Monday. No, I have to hear all about how on Sunday Phil said some shit like free weights are too complex and having a workout machine is easier. Fuck it, let's get into it.
Okay, so 2 months ago, I had my interview with Asmongold. And the interview, like I said, went well. And what happened was, I said, as of right now, because of the positivity that has happened, I'm abolishing all goals on streams. We no longer are going to have some kind of an arbitrary goal that I'm trying to hit on any stream. All right. Instead of that, I'm just going to relax and chill with the audience, and we're going to play games and have fun. And we're going to judge it on things like how many people show up, how much engagement. And yes, I'll look at support as well, but it's going to be a factor that we consider when it comes to what games we play and what games we don't. Okay.
Let's dive into this ever so slightly. Phil says, after I was so successful, I abolished the goals. Phil frames the abolishment of the goals as a reward for his success, but the success he's talking about wasn't organic growth, it was exposure. He went in front of an audience that didn't know his history, didn't know his patterns, and only had the version of Phil presented in that interview with Asmongold. That creates positivity by default. It's not a stable practice, it's buying when the stock is high, which is a dangerous proposition. Instead of treating the bump like a temporary spike, like he should, Phil locked it in as a permanent conclusion. Things are good now, so I don't need goals anymore. And that's just a bad read of reality. And I'm not saying I want Phil to have goals, let's be clear, but this is criticizing his reason for abolishing them. Because when something jumps suddenly like this, you don't remove the safety rails, you wait to see if it holds. And Phil didn't wait because waiting leaves room for one very uncomfortable outcome, the numbers coming back down. And this is where the real contradiction starts. Phil says he's abolished goals, but then immediately replaces them with this. We're going to judge on how many people show up, how much engagement, and yes, I'll look at support as well. That's not abolishment, that's renaming the goals. Goals used to be explicit. If you hit this number, you unlock the content. Now they're implicit. You have to show enough support or content decisions will change. Same pressure, same outcome, no visible target. But then he goes even further, saying support is going to be a factor when it comes to what games we play and what games we don't. And this is the most telling part, because if support determines content, then support is still being leveraged just without a posted number, which means viewers are still being conditioned to think, if I want X, I still need to support. That is a goal system. But since Phil doesn't call it a goal anymore, he's doing what he's been doing since he defended Derek. He's being obtuse, just so he doesn't give detractors a W.
And as soon as I announced this, right, immediately there was a clamor and there was all this ruckus within my detractor communities. Oh, Phil's always been about financial goals. Phil's always been about asking and begging for money. There's absolutely no positive way at all that this will ever stick. So first it was, oh, this won't last more than a week. And it did. And then it was, oh, this won't last more than 2 weeks. And it did. And then it was, oh, this won't last till Christmas. But it did. Oh, this can't last past Christmas into the new year. But it did. Oh, this can't last another month. So now we're 2 months into this. Okay? 2 months into no goals, no sitting here trying to hit an arbitrary total every stream. Instead, we're just relaxing and enjoying each other's company and enjoying games, right? First off, can we all agree that it's much better? I think we can, right? Without me saying, let's hit the goal and let's get some subs and let's get this and that constantly. I think it's just a much better atmosphere. We can focus on the games, we can focus on discussion, we can do more fun stuff, because it's not about me sitting here pounding the audience saying, give me money, give me money, give me money, right?
I've already talked about this in another video, so I won't harp on this too hard. Phil still says, let's get support. He still audits all his donation methods. That is to say, if he has super chats and members on YouTube one day, but no tips and no support from Kick, he still says things like, where's the Kick support? Where are the tips, you guys? I don't know what's going on. So his claim that he doesn't beg is just a fucking lie. He says we're not sitting here pounding the audience saying, give me money, but like 5 sentences ago, support still determined what games get played, what content continues, and what gets dropped. So money still drives decisions. It's just not called a goal anymore. And worse, the metric of success is something made up in Phil's head. Which means the claim isn't, I stopped begging you guys. It's, I stopped using the word goal. That's it.
Now, the thing is, you might say, well, you don't have the goals for 2 months. Well, how are things going? They must be going, well. They are. No, that's actually the truth. Things are going incredibly well. In fact, the last 2 months, things have been going better than before I had the goals. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was sitting here hounding the audience constantly, people would see me in a negative light and not want to contribute. And now what's happening is people are naturally coming by and becoming regulars and enjoying the stuff and supporting in droves. So because of that, I'm able to be just as good as I was before when I had the goals, if not better, and I don't have goals. All right? And it's amazing. Now understand that, again, this is a factor. Because there's other factors as well when it comes to the success of a game or content. For example, are people actually coming every stream and showing up and hanging out? Are people coming and talking about the game and actively having a great time? And engaging with the content, meaning they're liking it, they're leaving comments, they're doing all that stuff. And is there support coming in? Those are the 3 factors that I look at to judge if a game is worthy of continuing on my streams. And so there's a lot of times when I'm playing a game and maybe one of those 3 things isn't jiving, and I ask the audience about it, and we make a determination. And that's the thing, like, it's always going to be like that, where you have to have some kind of a criteria to judge if something's working or not, or else, again, what's the point of me streaming?
This is actual insanity. Here, I'll pose it as a question to you. If you were at work and you were told by a boss, you need to do these 3 things to meet expectations for this year, what might those be called? Would you by any chance see those as goals for the year? So now that we've established their goals, let's see which one you would rather have as the person being measured on said goals, because make no bones about it, the audience is being judged by Phil. Would you rather have complete X tasks by the end of the year, or would you want make sure you're engaging with the company and supporting your manager? And anyone who's had a performance review knows that the measurable or defined goal is always better because at least you know if you hit it. But for now, fuck the goals. Let's look at what happens if you don't engage enough or if enough people don't attend. I mean, before it was just, why didn't you dents open your wallets for me? Now it's, where were you? And why didn't you talk to me? Prove your loyalty to your God. People who demand to know where you were and what you were doing that you couldn't be with them, they normally have protection orders levied against them, Phil.
I could just be playing everything offline by myself and just playing what I like and not caring about anything else. So understand, it's not that, oh, well, support is not a factor. No, it is a factor. But also there's other factors that are intangible or not as arbitrary that also factor into things. And the thing is, with this new mentality that I have, I'm now able to go and do things that previously I wasn't able to do. Particularly, the one thing that I want to bring up, okay, is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. So this was one of my favorite playthroughs of 2025. And I went through playing, having a great time, all right, enjoying this game. But man, it was so hard to retain an audience for it. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like if it's an action game or it's a horror game or if it's a game that's like online multiplayer, it's a lot easier. Any game that's more of a slow burn style game or, that kind of game, it's so hard to retain an audience in the modern day. And one of my biggest regrets of the last year was that I only played through Act 1, Act 2, and the story finale, and literally never touched any of the content of Act 3 of Claire Obscure. Seriously, I touched none of it. I just skipped it, and most people who loved the game actually went back and played it, and I didn't. And that killed me. That absolutely killed me, that I had to forego that content. And then, when all this changed, and I had a new audience, and I was like, hey, you want me to go do it? Because I would love to do it. It's what I wanted to do all year. And people were like, yeah, let's do it. And then we did it together. And listen, not that it always worked, because there were some streams of that game that were absolutely dead. Okay? There was low attendance, low support, low engagement. But the thing is, if overall I'm doing great, if overall things are excellent, if I'm not sitting here trying to hit arbitrary goals, then it means that I can have a game in the rotation that's not doing so hot, but it's a passion project for me and I'm still able to do it. I understand that not every game's always going to be a hit, but the factor is that, if I'm enjoying it and there is an audience that's having a good time with it, then there's absolutely no reason to not play it, right?
If you're smelling purple and hearing toast right now, it's not just you. Phil quite literally just walked back to the entire framework he laid out about attendance, engagement, and support, all because he personally liked Clair Obscur. And honestly, fine. That's how streaming should work. Play what you want, then make it entertaining enough that people want to support it. But that last part is a slight problem, because Phil skips it. Because what he's actually saying here is this: if he wants to play the game, then attendance, engagement, and support suddenly don't matter. Those metrics become optional. They're waved away as overall things are good. But when Phil doesn't care about the game, or he's playing it out of some obligation, well, now those same metrics are mandatory, and the burden shifts entirely onto the audience. And notice what's missing from both of those equations. Phil being entertaining never factors in. So let's simplify it, because once you do, the contradiction is obvious. If Phil wants to play the game, support isn't required. If Phil doesn't want to play the game, you must justify its existence. Attendance, chat activity, and money are your responsibility. Entertainment is never his responsibility. That's not content strategy. That's holding all the content hostage unless he personally likes it. The audience is either funding or watching his passion projects or proving their worth. Phil's performance, magically, is never on trial.
And that's basically what happened with Expedition 33, is I was able to go back to it, I was able to play it and do all the content that I had missed, just culminating with Friday, where we actually beat the Super Boss Simon, and was even able to go back and check out this DLC that had come out in December that I never would have checked out. And I, got to check that out. I just had a great time. And that's because of you, because of the new changes, because of the fact that it's not tied to goals. We can go and have good fun no matter what it is that we're playing. All right. Now, there's going to be times when I have to make tough decisions, and there's going to be games that I have to stay away with because, again, I know that I'm streaming for an audience, right? We will always have these three factors of attendance, engagement, and support that we're going to use to judge if a game is worthy to keep playing on the stream or not. My time is valuable, okay? What? What the fuck?
Holy shit, what? Your time is valuable and the audience has to justify games to you? Let me explain how the entertainment works in the real world, fucko. The audience can spend their time and attention anywhere. That's how it works. The moment someone chooses to watch you, you don't get to act like you're doing them a favor. You owe them something worth coming back for. You earn every stream. Oh, but not Phil. Phil's version is your time is only valuable if it converts into money for him. If his stream is packed, chats pop, and everyone's engaged, people are having a great time, but it only makes $30, Shadow Realm. Every fucking time. What's that, audience? You liked it? You had fun? You want more? Cool, should have paid, you broke bitches. Because in Phil's universe, enjoyment doesn't justify content. Attendance doesn't justify content. Engagement doesn't justify content. Only money justifies it. And then he has the audacity to cap this with, my time is valuable. No, Phil, your time isn't valuable. Your time is monetized. In other words, you're a whore.
I need to be making these judgments of what's going to take up stream time and what's not. I do. It's very important that I make sure that having an audience of hundreds of people every day, thousands of people, quite frankly, in a week, that I'm doing stuff that they want, that I'm playing the games that you guys are asking for, okay? It's tough. It's very tough to decide because sometimes there's games that I absolutely love and you don't. Sometimes there's a game that you're liking and I don't like. And sometimes there's a game that's kind of mid and it's a tough judgment. Do we keep going or do we try something different that might do better? It's going to be a new journey this year. It will be. It's going to be completely different. It's nothing like it used to be where it's just the goals, the goals, the goals, the goals. But I think having this community mentality of, hey, we're all hanging out and we're enjoying games together and we're determining together whether or not this game is something worth playing, okay? That's much better than, oh, there's a number on the screen and we have to have it hit a certain value and then we keep playing. Because quite frankly, last year I do feel like there was things that overstayed their welcome, but I kept playing them because of that number. For example, Truck Sim. American Truck Sim was a game that I enjoyed, but should have ended 3+ months earlier than it did. And it was always just one or two people who would come to the Truck Sim streams and throw this giant Hail Mary contribution, and we would keep playing it. And it stayed in the rotation when we probably should have been trying other games and spending time on new things. We were just doing Truck Sim, Truck Sim, Truck Sim every single week, and it wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't like the streams were that meaningful. It became a way that basically my trolls tried to get me to fish to say something so they could do a clip farm of it. You know what I mean? And that's just not good.
None of this is the audience's responsibility. What is it the Phil always says? You come to DSP gaming to chill, to escape, to not take life so seriously. Escape to what, Phil? A roll call? A participation grade? A financial audit? And I love this fantasy he keeps selling where his streams are a community and everyone's just hanging out, enjoying each other's company. Because that's coded. He doesn't mean hanging out. He means, oh, please validate me. Tell me I'm special. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm amazing. And he'll give you that smug, self-satisfied energy right back like, yeah, I am pretty great, aren't I? Look at me. Look at what I built. Don't you wish you were me? That's the exchange. That's the community. And I'm not the first person to clock this. Somebody said it on Twitter or on a stream. He said, Phil is the kid who had every game console and invited you over to play. But what that meant was you sat there while he played and you were supposed to be impressed. That's what this is. Watch Phil play, react on cue, stroke the ego. And if you don't, well, you're not supportive. You're not engaged. You're not part of the community cult, which is exactly why American Truck Sim suddenly became the problem. Because when it served him, Truck Sim was this magical Zen experience. It was chill, relax, vibes, a therapy stream, whatever. But the second it stopped serving his numbers, it becomes, yeah, it overstayed. It wasn't meaningful. It held me back. It became troll bait. It's amazing how that works. The game didn't change. The return changed. And now instead of a couple of whales keeping it alive, Phil's solution is make the whole audience responsible, not just for watching, for performing. Attendance, engagement, support, every stream. So no, this is not escape. This is subscription-based relationships where you pay, you praise, and you prove you deserve Phil and his content. And that's what Phil calls his community.
I absolutely should have been doing other kinds of content instead of those streams, but I just looked at the dollar sign rather than what my audience was really saying. A lot of people were saying, stop playing Truck Sim. For goodness sakes, Phil, it's just not interesting. We're bored. And I didn't listen. I ignored, and that's on me. But now, things are different. I can actually pivot left, right, up, down in any direction. I can play any game. I can buy any piece of equipment that I need or we want to try out together. I can do all of that because of you. And so, 2 months into this amazing journey of positivity and fun and things very different than how they used to be, I want to take the time away to say thank you so much. Because of the positivity, the engagement, and the support that you have shown me over these years, this crazy 17-plus year journey. I've had highs and lows, and for a while there, we were down in the doldrums, right? Every day was a begathon, and every day was about the goals, the goals, the goals, and now it's done. 2 months in, I never have to go back. Tell you that right now, I'm never going back. We're never going to have that arbitrary goal again. It's going to be about all of these factors weighed against each other. This new methodology is working. People are enjoying the content. I'm doing well. It's all successful. So thank you so very, very much. However, I just want you to understand one factor here. The negativity and the toxicity and the detractor videos that are made about me every day are never going to go away. And there's one real big reason for that, and it's very simple. Money. Okay? If toxicity, negativity, and bullying on the internet was not able to be monetized, no one would still be bothering me. Because in truth, all the things that people were on me for over the years are gone. Okay? Think about it. The awful look of my set is gone. The awful gameplay where I just sit there and blame developers all day instead of trying to play a game seriously. Gone. The fact that I sit there begging all day. Gone. The goals. Gone. Everything. It's all gone. Even when I clear my throat. I mute the mic now. Every single thing that I've been criticized for has been improved upon or fixed. So what happens now is, oh wait, but we need to make money. Right? We're making big bank, making fun of Phil. So what's the next thing? Let's either make something up completely that's actually not true at all, like saying that I'm on Ozempic or something insane like that, even though I have worked hard to change my lifestyle, to change my diet, to work out, to improve myself as I have. They can't accept that. Wait, all the things that we made fun of Phil for are now fixed? Well, we got to make something up. He's on Ozempic and his wife has left him and this and that. All nonsense. There's no longer a factual basis for anything that people bully me for. The things that they say and do are actually completely fabricated now, to the point where it's a laughing joke. Like my wife and I, when we catch wind of this shit, we laugh so hard at how insane it is, how crazy this stuff is that they're saying. But the thing is, they need to. Like, take a look right now at the Kick Chat. How this person who keeps making 100 sock accounts behaves every day. Why do they behave that way? Because their narrative has to be true or else they're doing nothing. You see what I'm saying? They have to invent nonsense in order to have their narrative be true. Because if it's not true, then no one would watch the content and they wouldn't make any money anymore. So let's just completely invent stuff. Let's spam his chat. Let's do this and that. And the thing is, it doesn't affect me. Like, to be honest, right now we're having a podcast. Is it affecting the podcast in any way? Does it matter what anyone said about me today? Does it matter that this idiot is spamming my chat? No. But that's it. They're living in their own bubble to the point where the difference here is other people who are lol cows, all right? Because by the way, you're a lol cow whether you like it or not. It has nothing to do with really your actions as much as they would like that to be the case. It's not the case at all. If someone prods you enough with a stick, you're eventually going to react to it, right? You can do your best to ignore it, but if you keep ignoring someone you prodding with a stick, eventually the stick's going to pierce your skin. So you have to move. You have to react. You have to do something. You can't just let someone keep bothering you over and over. You have to react. And that's what they don't understand about this whole lolcow culture bullshit is You say, oh, well, a lolcow is someone when you prod them or you poke them or you do something, it elicits a certain reaction that we can laugh at. And because they give you that predicted reaction, they're a lolcow. No. They're a lolcow because you keep harassing them and somehow the internet thinks that systematic bullying is okay. So it's very simple. It's not what you think. Maybe at one point it was. Maybe at one point you could look at someone and be like, well, they have something that they're doing wrong, endlessly. And therefore, we're going to call them out on it, and we're going to hope that they improve. And if they don't, we're going to make fun of them for it. And we're going to say they're a lolcow because we milk them for the lols or whatever, right? But in truth, that's not what it is anymore. Because this bullying, this systematic bullying has become monetized. It's now an actual moneymaker. It's a whole community of people who all they care about is making money defaming you. And they get away with it unless you can outright sue them, right? So it's actually toxic and sick.
I know I let the guy cook there, but I wanted to get through all of that. And we'll get to the gym portion after this because this rant actually kept going, but he just loops, so I'm going to save you some time. But once again, here we are. Phil isn't responsible for his actions. Shocking. It's truly unprecedented. According to Phil, if someone prods you enough, you're entitled to react. You have to react. Hell, you can't help it. The stick eventually pierces the skin. So Phil says he doesn't have a choice. That argument is the polar opposite of emotional maturity, because emotional maturity, actual adulthood, is the ability to regulate your responses regardless of provocation. It's understanding that being annoyed, criticized, or even mocked does not absolve one of responsibility for how they behave next. Children react. Adults respond. And in 2026, we have a 43-year-old man explaining to his audience that internet comments force him to behave the way that he does. Let that sink in. This isn't a teenager discovering Twitter. This isn't someone new to the internet. This is a man who has spent 17 plus years online, built a career on being public facing, and is now arguing that self-control is impossible if people are mean enough. What the fuck? And notice the sleight of hand here. He says every criticism is now gone. Begging, gone. Bad gameplay, gone. The goals, gone. The mic issues, gone. Everything's fixed. Everything is solved. Which means, conveniently, any remaining criticism must be fabricated. There's no room left for disagreeing with Phil. There's no room for taste. There's no room for, bro, this isn't entertaining. If you don't like him now, you're a liar, or you're a bully, or you're monetizing toxicity. That's narrative control. That's something manipulating narcissists do. So when he frames this systematic bullying, forcing a reaction, what he's really saying is, I want sympathy for the consequences of behavior I continue to choose, like the little boy he is. And speaking of children with no emotional maturity, Phil apparently decided to talk about fitness again, because God hates me.
All right. Very nice. Oh, I need to stretch. I do. Sore. Do I work out last night? And, see, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about on the podcast today I didn't even get to. My workout room, I finally cleaned it out. Yeah, yesterday, my wife and I did a big house clean out and hallway. And so now I actually have a room that's a dedicated workout room. And once my wife cleans it, because she's going to thoroughly clean the carpets and everything with our carpet cleaner, we're actually going to probably get a real weight machine. Instead of me just using the dumbbells, we're going to get a real weight machine where you can do all the exercises with the pulleys and stuff. And then I'm going to have a real gym. For the first time in my life, I will actually have a real gym in my house. It's going to be cool. No, I don't think so. Kodoik says, are you going to get the Bowflex? Probably not, because I looked into it, and when the Bowflex, when you use the pulleys, the rods bend outward like this, and I don't think I have the space for it. I have a more narrow space, so I think I'm going to get a traditional one where it's the weights, you put the pins in, and, you just lift up and down. I think I should be able to fit that. But I got to measure the room.
In another holy shit, I can't believe he hasn't done this yet moment, Phil has not yet claimed ownership, apparently, of his residence on Google or realtor sites like Zillow. Why does this matter? Because until that claim happens, you can type in his address and still see the for sale photographs that were taken back in the day. Now, why does this matter? First, Phil has walked us through his house before, so all of this information was freely given by him, but there is exactly one room in the house that is narrow enough to potentially prevent a Bowflex from expanding out, and it's this fucking closet of a room. Based on the observable area and the chairs, I'd say it's roughly 13 to 15 feet long, 7 to 8 feet wide, and the ceiling at the high point is around 8 feet, and at the low point is about 6 feet. Now, why does that matter? Well, it sounds like he's talking about getting a column or pillar machine, like this. First of all, enjoy that price tag. We saved for a few months to buy ours. This is actually our exact model. But anyway, it maxes out at 83 inches in height. So this particular model is going to have to go against the right wall, which is doable, but holy God, is that going to be a tight fit. But this does beg the question, what in the fuck is Leanna's old office being used for? More storage? More shit? Tyrone? Like, honestly, of all the areas in which to build a home gym, why here? When just a few months back you were saying your garage was completely empty. Anyway, continue, Phil. I just had to comment on how fucking retarded you are.
Well, Kat has used, I've never used a machine before. I've only ever used free weights my whole life. When I used to work out in my 20s, my dad had a whole giant sets of free weights in the basement that I used to work out, and now I'm using these dumbbells. So I've never used a machine before, ever. Not once. So it'll be neat to have one. Kat's used them before. She's used to go to the gym and use these machines before, so she actually knows more about them than I do. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Bowflex. It's the same thing. You're just using the pulleys and doing the exercises instead of lifting weights. You're doing bending rods. The thing is, they bend outward and you need space to do it, and I don't think I have enough space. Yeah, pretty much. Kodunk says, in all honesty, getting a solid cable machine set, you can virtually do any workout with any body part. Pretty much, from what I saw, like I want to get one where it has the platform you put your feet on, you push down, so that basically simulates squats, and then you raise your legs and it pulls, so that's the other exercise for your leg. And then I want, obviously, you need your bench, you need your curls, you need something for your triceps, and I'm sure it has that too. I'm sure as long as it has every muscle group, you're good. It doesn't have to be the same exercise, as long as you're exercising the muscle group. If you're pulling a pulley to lift the weight instead of just actually pushing the weight, it's the same thing, so.
Well, that rules out the columns or pillars, and I honestly don't know what he's looking at them, but I can tell you this. If the columns were a tight fit, what he's talking about is going to induce claustrophobia. But credit where it's due, yes, you can do significant work with a cable machine. Not as much as you can do with free weights, in my opinion, but there's no way in hell they're getting an Olympic bar and a power rack into that fucking shoebox.
How long are my workouts? Depends. Like last night was an hour. Some nights it's shorter. Depends on which day. The day when I do squats, shoulders, lats, and when I do some push-ups, that's about a half an hour workout. But when I do my arms and my chest and the sit-ups, that's like an hour. Now, Alex, the problem is, he says, I think you'd be better off with a good set of free weights, like a dumbbell set. You can do nearly every exercise. It's too much time. It's too time-consuming. Like, for example, let's say I get a really high-end dumbbell set, like high weight and everything, right? Well, each body part group needs a different weight, right? When you're doing your biceps, that's a different weight than probably when you're doing your bench, your press, and it's different weight than when you're doing your squats. You have to keep changing the weights constantly. It's frustrating and noisy, okay? As opposed to if you have a machine, you literally just change the pin. It's 2 seconds. Okay, next exercise. Next exercise. Instead of, rotate, clink, 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 all this fucking noise and shit. I don't want to have to keep doing that.
I am honestly curious as to what he's doing for chest, arms, lats, and core that takes 60 minutes with dumbbells up to 50 pounds, but I guess to each their own. However, the notion that adjustable dumbbells take too long, to me, is just Phil justifying what's sure to be a $3,000 plus purchase because he wants it. Adjustable dumbbells aren't loud, they click. Oh, the humanity! If he's planning to use anything with adjustable height, he's going to be very disappointed when he has to move things and connect different attachments, and those are going to make noise, Phil. Like, if you're really using this room as a gym, there's going to be noise. Why are you so fucking weird, Phil?
So, I think the machine, honestly, will likely be better, I think. I think the machine would be better than the free weights. Oh, by the way, the machine's not dangerous. When you have any kind of free weights, there's a danger element, right? Like you might drop the weight or whatever, or what if you're doing a press and, oh my God, now you're trapped under the weight. If you're using a machine, that can never happen. It's just a pulley. Release the pulley. Right? Oh, it's the bar. Release the bar. You're okay. See?
This is honestly very confusing, because Phil says he's worked out with free weights in the past, and we know he's never had friends, so he should know about how catch safeties work. And if you think you can't hurt yourself using a cable machine, Phil, there are a fuck ton of people with shoulder injuries that want to know what you're smoking.
It's a ease of use factor. It's a safety factor. Like when I work out, my wife can't always be there to spot me. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I've been being very careful with my workouts. But if I have a machine, then I can go a little harder, basically, because there's no risk.
Now I can't get the mental image of all 250 pounds of Ket behind Phil, gun pouring into his face as he shakes and struggles to put up 20 pounds on bench. Like, bro, they're dumbbells. You drop them if you're gonna hit failure. Why would you give people this mental image, Phil? You know we're gonna make fun of you. But don't let Phil playing pretend bodybuilder distract you from the fact that Ozempic Boy here promised his gains in the spring, and that is rapidly approaching. I'm honestly curious as to whether or not he'll have some kind of complaint or traumatic story where he's the victim that made it so he couldn't work out, you guys, but he did nothing wrong. He did everything correct, legally. Additionally, I really want to see his final gym setup one day, because if he's stupid enough to show it, I'll give a tour of mine. Big ups to my members, newbies, neophytes, and the godly gym rats. We've had 2 members only post stream for the neophytes and rats where we watch random shit that has nothing to do with Phil, and at least to me, they were a great time. But all my members are amazing. Until next time, swole is the goal for a troll. Lift heavy, eat clean. And make sure your mall wife spots you so she can lose all sexual attraction and respect for you when she sees the weight you're putting up. I mean, that seems to be Phil's recommendation. No wonder Phil doesn't like LTG. It reminds him of Tyrone.